if these creepy crawlers were going to come and attack you during the night. But it was the exposure to the Hyatt and the Hilton and the Marriott that let us know that even though we weren't affluent at all, that there was better that was out there. And we decided that when we got older, we'd have the ability, we'd be able to have the kind of jobs that if we wanted to stay at that kind of hotel, we'd be able to stay there. My point of that is, having the exposure to that helped us out. Now, I had friends. Our parents didn't talk about retirement, didn't talk about saving for retirement, didn't talk about the investments and the likes of such, but I had friends whose parents did. So riding to basketball games, you hear this, and then it sparks something inside. My point, brothers and sisters, is if you aren't exposed to something, you'll never unlock the greatness or the potential that's inside you. So you need exposure, okay? You've got to have exposure to unlock greatness in you. You've got to have exposure to unlock the potential that's in you. So it's always important to remember that we cannot change our lives or do better in an area if we have not or do not expose ourselves to the principles that make things happen, okay? In other words, you can only do better when you know better, okay? You can only do better when you know better. Proverbs 6, and we'll cite it here, but we're going to read it in our Bibles at this moment. Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you live or lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little slumber, a little fold of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. In other words, to unlock our potential, the scripture is telling us, go to the ant, consider her ways, and be wise. This means then that our exposure to the ant can begin to unleash the greatness that's actually within us. The beauty is that the ant can teach us something about greatness. The ant can teach us something about potential. You want to know this? The Lord does not say, consider Moses. And He does not say, consider Elijah. Even in 1 Corinthians 11, verse number 1, where Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. When it comes to productivity, when it comes to principles of greatness, when it comes to potential, the Lord didn't say, follow Paul. He says, go to the ant and consider her ways and be wise. So let's do exactly that. Let's go to the ant, consider her ways, and be wise. Here's our first statement on today. Repeat after me. The achievement of greatness requires work. It's important to know. The achievement of greatness requires work. What did we learn in last week's lesson? What did we learn last week? Somebody. What did we learn? Yes?
God actually wants us to work with other people.
Okay, wants us to work with other people. What else? Yes?
Work is God's way to draw out your potential.
Okay, work is God's way to draw out our potential. I see your hand, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
If land or ground can produce, we can produce.
Okay. Absolutely, yeah. And it was interesting, remember, in Genesis 2 and 5, there was no vegetation, there was no bush, because the Lord hadn't caused it to rain, and there was no man to work the ground, no man to till the ground. Then God made the man. Then God planted the garden, and then God put the man in the garden to work the garden. Yes?
I believe that the woman was also to subdue just like the man, and I believe the name or the Hebrew for help was Ezer.
Yeah, Ezer.
And that means that he used the same thing. I believe it was for the Holy Ghost.
Yeah. And so then the woman as a helper was not inferior to, she was equal to. him, and that they were both supposed to work. They were supposed to, both, and he showed no distinction between their skill sets or their abilities, which is really extraordinary for us to consider. So let's dive in today. Now, I do want to put it out there just in case some of you have, some phobias about insects. I do have a number of pictures to reinforce the points about insects, and here's how you're going to know them. We'll do our statement as we always normally do, and then the picture will come up. So I have tried my best to find the most pleasant pictures so that you're not startled or traumatized, walking away saying, so I don't want to do that. I want you to be soothing and delightful for you. So when you see the statement, you know the picture is coming up next. Hopefully, they'll be easy for you. There were some more grotesque ones, but I stayed away from those. These are hopefully pleasant for you. Let's go. Proverbs, the 6th chapter, Proverbs 6, verse 6 through 11. Proverbs 6, verse 6 through 11. And he tells us, go to the ant, O sluggard. Now, sluggard is someone who is slothful or lazy. And so we're going to use lazy person. Okay, we'll use lazy person. So go to the ant, O lazy person. Consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O lazy person? Will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. And get this, and poverty will come upon you like a robber. So that what it's saying is that poverty is going to rob something from you, and want like an armed man. Now, so what do you have that poverty wants to take away from you? Think about that. What is it? It's obviously wealth. It's obviously wealth. Poverty wants to take away your wealth, and so poverty is going to come and rob you of your wealth. Poverty will actually stick you up like an armed robber. So imagine poverty holding you up, at gunpoint, or at knife point, to take away your wealth, because you, not like the ant, are being productive as you are supposed to be. We're going to have some fun with this one on today. Let's look at what was happening. If we were if I were teaching you hermeneutics, hermeneutics is a study of interpretation, of scriptures. Proverbs are oftentimes comparisons, and so what they'll often do in making comparisons, that the proverb will say a good point about this and a negative point about that, or then it'll present a negative point and then present the good point. And so something like this. Imagine if I was teaching the class, I'd have you draw a diagram, and we'd have, on one side we'd have the ant, on the other side we'd have the lazy person, okay? So the ant, the lazy person. Now, think about this. You remember you're in church or Bible study or whatever, and a preacher or teacher says, 5 is the number of grace. And then you just took it, 5 being grace because it's what they said. But no one ever challenges it. Well, so how'd you come up with 5 being the number of grace? My grandfather would say, 5 is the number of grace because you got G, R, A, C, E. So that's what he'd say. That grace has, grace doesn't have 5 letters in the Greek or in the Hebrew, which is really funny. And so it didn't equate necessarily over. To determine that, then, what we do is we use symbolic principles, comparison principles, to determine that, and we look at subjectivity to see if the number 5 emerges out of that. So here's what we're going to do today. Compare yourself. There is, rather than look at the ant compared to the lazy person, look at the ant and compare yourself to the ant. See if you have the same qualifications as the ant, or are you on the side of the lazy person, okay? That's what we're going to do today. Look at that, think about that, and we're going to raise some issues today as we look at the ant, because we're told, go to the ant. So, in Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 11, Solomon uses the ant to illustrate the virtue of diligence and the value of hard work. And in addressing this, as he says, go to the ant, consider her ways, be wise, he's saying something like, find an ant, consider the ways of the ant, inspect the ant, look at it intently, follow the ant. And he says, that learn about wisdom. From who? Learn about wisdom from the ant. And very bluntly, he commands us, after you say to the ant, be wise, because the ant is your teacher. And the ant is going to teach you wisdom. You're going to gain information from the ant. The ant is your example. Follow the example he's saying of the ant. Now, the Bible only mentions the ant 2 times. 2 times. Here in our passage of Proverbs, the 6th chapter, and then also Proverbs 30, verse 25. So let's look at that, because now what's amazing, he doesn't say, nowhere in Scripture are we told, go to the lion. We're not told, go to the eagle. We talk about the Lord he's the great eagle. God is the lion of the tribe of Judah. He's the Lamb of God. And we're not told, go to the lamb and consider the lamb. We're not told, go to the lion and consider the lion. We're not even told to study the beaver or the badger and their great works. And we're going to find it in verse 26 of Proverbs 30 about the rock badger. We're not even told to study the rock badger. And then there's the bee. You will say, well, as busy as the bee, as busy as the bee. But we're not even told to study the bee. We're told to go to the ant, consider the ant, and be wise. Proverbs 30, verse 25. And it says, the ants are a people not strong. Yet, it says, they provide their food in the summer. Okay? And it's amazing. He anthropomorphizes the ant and calls the ants people. They're not strong, but go to them. Why? They're preparing their food in the summer. So the Bible gives us, and this is a biblical concept, we get 4 specific traits about the ant. Number 1, we're shown discipline. Number 2, we're seeing diligence. Number 3, we see futuring. Number 4, we're seeing community. And all of these things we're finding from the ant. So let's dive in deeper. Let's find out about the wonders of this. There's 2 things that jump out immediately in Proverbs 6, 6 to 11. There is the diligence of the ant and the discipline of the ant. The ant is working. It shows how the ant is feverishly working. It's preparing because it knows winter is coming. Now, why Solomon of all people? Well, Solomon was exceptionally wise and learned in the ways of the animal kingdom. First Kings, the 4th chapter, verse 29 to 34, shows that he studied quite well about the animal kingdom. So much so, one of the Ecclesiastes talks about, cast your bread on the water. Well, the reason why that text shows is what he would do. He would send grain on ships to other parts of the world in exchange for wildlife, apes, giraffes, etc. And so when he's talking about casting your bread upon the water, it's as a medium of exchange. He's essentially saying, you can use what you have, your income, in exchange for something else. So he does this, and he is, as he's getting all these different types of animals, he does it because he wants to study their behavior. He wants to study why they do what they do. And so he's looking at the ant, and he's studying the ant, and he notices that the ant exceptionally is without supervision. He's not saying that the ant does not have any social hierarchy. He's not saying that there's no order or pecking order for the ant. But what he notices is that the ant works independently. And that the ant has an inner motivation. There is an inner drive for the ant. Which means then that the ant does not require micromanaging. Now, there's the ant, there's you, okay? The ant has a good work ethic. The ant doesn't require micromanaging, but what about you? You were in school, you'd be taking that test or doing homework, and the teacher's walking up and down the aisle. And they come by, where you were, and here they are. They're standing, next to your desk while you're writing, and sometimes you see students they freeze up because they're wondering, like, why are you looking over my shoulder? So the question is, why is the teacher walking up and down the aisles? Because they know that many students are not going to perform unless they have pressure. They're not going to produce unless they have pressure, unless someone is looking over their shoulder. And so when they have that pressure, they're more inclined to begin to perform because they have someone that's looking over their shoulder. How do you perform when your boss is away? When your supervisor is not around? Maybe the supervisor boss, stepped out for a second. Are you getting things? Are things still being done? What happens if the supervisor boss goes on vacation for 5 days? Is it woo-hoo, party in the office? Nobody's there. We're good. But the ant knows that it's working. There is an inner drive, an inner motivation. Now we played with ants growing up, so please don't judge me too harshly when I make various statements about the ants. And I was always fascinated by the ants. So we did some crazy stuff. God help us in Jesus' name. We did ants. And sometimes, we would distress an ant. Sometimes we even took ants and we put them in water and try to make the ants fight and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, sir. We distressed ants. And so sometimes when we distressed an ant, what was amazing was another ant would come in its place and would try to get the food or try to get, it's like there's this inner drive, inner motivation to make it happen. And you didn't find another ant saying, go over there. It's like they know exactly what to do. So the ant has a good work ethic, a good work ethic. There's an initiative that is forcing the ant, is driving the ant to do what it's supposed to do. That means then the person who sits around and does nothing until the supervisor shows up is actually lazy. Yeah. He lacks initiative. He lacks divine purpose. He lacks motivation. That the person is lazy. The Bible says that the ant is futuring that the ant is preparing food for the winter. The lazy person is so lazy that it grieves, one of my favorite proverbs, it grieves the lazy person to take the food and just even raise the food to their mouth. Now that's some serious laziness right there. You can't take the food and put it in your own mouth. The ant works all summer gathering food because the ant knows that winter is coming. It knows winter will be soon, and so it has to prepare and start to save because there's going to come a day, there's going to come a time when food is not growing. So then, the ant is considering the future. The ant is preparing for a season of lack. Now, what about you in comparison? How do you fare in comparison to the ant? I get it. Because the crazy thing for us is, especially as Pentecostals, but Jesus is coming. And don't get me wrong, I believe, and I preach it hard, Jesus is coming. But many of us were so conscious about Jesus coming that the life around us started to fall apart. And we forgot the scripture says, occupy till I come. We just wanted to, slip out of here, and we want to come back here, no more. Over there, we're like, so we didn't care about this life at all, when in reality, we forgot the Proverbs, or parables probably, that talk about the man with the 5 talents, the man with the 2 talents, the man with the 1 talent. We forgot those parables because if we read that and tied it into the Lord's coming, we would learn that when he showed up, if we had not been productive, that he's gonna say, I don't know who you are. Because you don't reflect my kingdom. The ant is thinking about the future. So what about you? Are you considering tomorrow? Because it's unwise to sit around and do nothing. The ant knows. It can only survive with foresight and self-discipline to work tirelessly to store up food for tomorrow. And the secret to their ability to do this is their unity. It is a common unity, a common unity. They know that if we don't store up food, then I won't survive, the colony won't survive, and all of us will die because we're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not considering what is coming. So Proverbs 30 verse 25 says that the ants they're a people, they're a tribe, they're a collective unit, and so they're working together individually, corporately, to make sure that they're successful and they'll come forward. So then, we, like the ant, we must have foresight, we must be disciplined, we've got to have unity, and we've got to have discipline. Please repeat this after me. You can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from an ant. You can learn a lot from an ant. We okay? Our preachers we're good with this? All right, wonderful, wonderful. Let's go a little deeper into the ant. Ants they're fascinating creatures in that they have the ability, and what we did first was give you the 4 biblical is overran by ants. It's really interesting to see that. So sometimes ants can be a bit of a nuisance to us, but most often we walk right by them and many times destroy their highways. We crush them as we walk over them, not even realizing that ants are there, because ants they're everywhere. But we're told in the scripture, go to the ant, consider the ant, and then be wise. Dr. Edward Wilson, who studies ants, he had a childhood injury earlier on, which blinded his right eye, forcing him actually to look downward most of the time. And so he was fascinated by the world of ants. Dr. Wilson says this in reference to ants. He says that the terrestrial world is a level of little things. It is owned by the ants. He says, ants alone make up upwards of 2/3 the weight of all insects. They dominate the environment, and they do it by complex social behavior, and yet most people don't know the slightest things about them. Ants, brothers and sisters, they live all across the globe. You can find them in Africa. You'll find them in the rainforests of South America. They're just kind of everywhere. And many times where there is a savanna or a plain, there's no trees, you'll see an ant hill. This kind of almost like a high rise, just mounted up, you know. And I'll tell you, we were kids, and so I'll never forget, there was this ant hill in the backyard. It was rather high, and so we knocked the ant hill down. We did, you know, and then we came back up the next morning, and the ant hill was built back again at the same height, same structure that we had just knocked down previously. I won't tell you what we did. But we did. We destroyed this ant hill, and in fact, the next day, there is the ant hill, same size. They weren't working on it. Overnight, they had completed this ant hill. Overnight. Same exact structure, same exact height. We were amazed, like, wow, how in the world did these ants do this so quickly? Ants, many of them, some of them are nomads, and so they're always scourging for the next food source. There are fire ants that have a painful bite. Then there are black ants that can spray acid on their prey. And some ants actually build bridges to be able to get whatever they're doing, whatever they're trying to convey from one section to the next. They'll build bridges with the body parts of a prey that they had dismembered, or even with their own body. And I'll show you one of those pictures. It's a pleasant picture, by the way. We chose not to find the more gruesome pictures. It's a little more pleasant. Some of the other species of ants are farmers. They actually herd, they care for it. And they even milk the ant, study the ant. To the ant, this is a massive world. And in the earth, you're going to notice that ants they've got these layers and these tunnels that are everywhere. It's quite extraordinary, the ability that these ants actually have. And scientists have ascertained that there are upwards to over 10,000 species of ants. Now that's extraordinary. Over 10,000 species of ants. And what's awesome about this is that many colonies of ants have thousands, even upwards to millions of ants living in one colony. Other colonies have several dozen of ants in there. And why? Because the ants are always thinking about the colony, okay? Comparison. The ants are thinking always about the colony. Always about the colony. So whatever the ant does is always for the colony. You gotta get that. Whatever, no matter what species of ant it is, whatever the ant does is always for the colony. I'll say it to you again to make sure you get it. Whatever the ant does, the ant is always doing it for the colony. No matter the species, it's always doing it, whatever it does, for the colony. Now, we're told this. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And then it ends with whatever we're looking for, all these things will be added unto you. What the text, if we're looking at that through the concept of the lens of the ant mindset, that means put the kingdom first. Whatever you do it for the kingdom. You know, they say, do it for the bag. Whatever you do it for the kingdom. What would mean then, if you're going to take the job, consider, if I take this job, how will this job advance the kingdom? If I'm going to have these friends, and they're going to be a part of my life, and I have relations with them, how will these individuals in my life, how will this advance the kingdom? Everything that the ant is doing, he's thinking about the colony the whole time. But what about you? Are you considering your decisions based off of how will this enhance the kingdom? How will this advance the kingdom? How will this help the kingdom? How will this accelerate the kingdom of God? Because after all, everything that is created belongs to the king. Even your hands. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. So whatever we're doing should always be for the kingdom. In your comparison, the ant's working for, and he does it for the colony. What about you? Do you have that line there? You can say, whatever I'm doing is always for the kingdom. Yeah. Ants are known for their Herculean strength. They can move objects and pull objects 50 times their body weight. 50 times their body weight. And when an ant attacks other insects that are bigger than themselves, it's extraordinary because ants are typically from 2 millimeters up to 10 millimeters. Not very large creatures, but there's a variety of sizes for the ant. Yet when they track down a prey, they're able to overcome the prey by their sheer strength in numbers. And amazingly that when an ant cannot overcome a victim by itself, that ant sprays a chemical. Now, get this. Not to overpower their victim. The chemical is from the release from their body is a signal that they send to other ants. Come over and help me. That's interesting. They're not releasing the chemical to tell the prey, get off me. You know, Skunks will, when skunks are threatened, by you, their hind legs start moving really fast. And if you see a skunk, and it starts to, like it's shaking, you might want to move. Because that skunk is about to spray you, and you'll have a fragrance, that you're going to carry with you for quite some time. So other animals will release a scent to either deflect or their prey, and others for them to move away from them or to apprehend their prey. But the ant is releasing the chemical to say, come help me. Let's do this real quickly. Go to Genesis 49. Genesis 49. Let's look at this text real quickly. That's interesting. That wasn't not a part of our group of lesson or text. So let's look at this, Genesis 49. Thank you, Lord. And we're going to pick up at verse 27. It says, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning devouring the prey, and at evening dividing the sport. What's the saying about Benjamin? Well, Benjamin is the 12th son of Israel. And being the 12th son of Israel, prophecies are given. These prophecies equate to the church. So Benjamin represents for us the last hour of the church. Joseph and Benjamin, the 11th and 12th hour of the church, show the New Testament church, actually. And so Benjamin would be us right now. Wolves don't hunt by themselves or solo, they run packs. And they know to overcome that mighty elk, that huge moose, that they're going to have to gang up on it to take that prey down. And what that says is that the strength in our numbers. Last week we looked at it. We're powerful together. We're stronger together. We're better together. We saw that God created us to work with others. And when you can work good by yourself, we learned that last week, but you always work better with others. And the ants collectively work together to overcome their victim. And when they do so, they dismember their victim that's larger than themselves and carry their body parts back to the nest. Why? They're always thinking about the colony. They're always thinking about the survival of the colony. You can Google it and you'll see ants ganged up on frogs, dismembering frogs, dismembering turtles. And I didn't put those pictures up there because you're like, but you'll see this overpowering their victim. These things could squash them. The frog could stick out his tongue and swallow the ant. But the ants, in their sheer number, can overcome and overpower them. It's amazing to see it. So, if we consider the ant, we should consider its community. We should consider its resourcefulness. We should consider the strength. We should consider its diligence, its work, its discipline, its character, its cooperation. We should look at and consider the foresight of the ant. The ant is always working. It's always working. Now, there's the ant. Always working. Comparison. That's you. What do you relate? How do you compare to the ant? The ant is always working. The ant is thinking, it's always, I've got to find food or I've got to repair the anthill. I've got to find food. I've got to find somebody to repair the anthill. It knows that its world is under constant threat. That there'll be people, gargantuans like our own self, who are rambunctious, who will try to knock down, the anthill. So they're always thinking about survival. How are they going to continue on? So as we knock down the anthill, they built it back overnight at the same size. Why? They're thinking about survival. They're working together. They're making sure that the jobs get done. What do you mean? That the ant is constantly looking for solutions in an ongoing world of problems. Always looking for solutions. Always planning for the future. But what about you? Verse 8 of Proverbs 6 says, the ant prepares bread in the summer and gathers food in the harvest. But don't stop there. Verse 9. Verse 9 says, how long will you lie there, O sluggard or lazy person? When will you arise from your sleep. Look at the ant. The ant has diverse sleeping patterns. It's extraordinary. Diverse sleeping patterns. The working ant takes short naps of a few seconds at a time. The queen ant takes naps a few minutes at a time. What are we getting from this? That the ant is only resting when it needs to because it knows I can get back to work. It knows I rest because I've got to take a moment to revitalize. I've got to get back to work because this tomorrow is coming. Winter will be here. You know, for my Game of Thrones people, you remember winter is coming. So there you have the ants thinking, you know, that winter is going to be here. How am I going to prepare myself for the winter that I know will come? So the ant rests only to get back to work because the ant is preparing for the future. Now, I thought about this. You know, we have the scripture that says, remember Lot's wife. So I put up here for us, remember the ant. Remember the ant. Please repeat after me. Work multiplies.
Work multiplies.
I need you to have some fire with it. Work multiplies.
Work multiplies.
Your resources.
Your resources.
No, work multiplies your resources. Your resources. Like the ant, the Lord God created you to be a problem solver. The richest people in the world are not paid for what they do, but they're paid for what they know. William Bill Gates III, the founder of Microsoft, as of 2019, his net worth is somewhere around $3.5 billion. That's extraordinary. That's $4 billion more than last year. By the way, that's interesting to me. Assuming that Bill Gates had a regular bank savings account like we do at an interest rate of 3%, that means that Bill would earn $7.7 million a day. That is every 320 every hour. That's $320,000. That is $5,330 every minute. Now, I don't know about you, but that makes me a little sick to my stomach. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. But what's the issue? Bill Gates he knew and saw there was organizational problems in offices, schools, businesses, governments. And he realized that if I create a program that would be able to centralize your life or your studies, I enhance you and actually save you time to accelerate the process of what you're doing so you can get done faster. Some of you can remember the days of typing, you know, your paper on the old trusted typewriter. You know. And some of my millennials are like, what are you talking about? You know, so there you are, you're pecking, and then you have to use your little wide out, and then you get to the end of the line, and you're sliding it back over, and then you're typing once again, and you're rolling up, and you gotta put the paper in, and kind of send it and bring it back up. And I was like, yeah, what are y'all talking about? These antique machines, you know. But the computer processing, data processing allows us to be able now to make those corrections without the whiteout on the paper. So, you know, for many of us, we were turning in papers and term papers by typewriters and so on. And you know, especially if you ran out of ink, you know, then you were in a little. You had to go find some ink and then put fix the ribbon back again, so you can start typing all over again. It's really interesting. But data processing through Windows has accelerated that process. Now you don't have to worry about the whiteout on your paper. You can just backspace, delete, you know, then save yourself some time and, you know, cut and paste, and it's like, boom, you know, boom, you're moving faster. And it was really amazing is that his work is in almost every college campus, with probably the exception of MIT, you know, but with almost every college campus, businesses, churches, schools, individuals, you know, are being blessed. Why? Because Microsoft solved organizational problems. making life more efficient for businesses and students and churches and families and individuals. Extraordinary. It was looking for a problem. You were not created to create problems. You were created to solve problems. Please help me out to the person next to you. You were not created to create problems. You were created to solve problems. Yeah, you were created to solve problems. Like the ant. Remember the ant. The ant is constantly looking for problems. Constantly looking for how can I improve. The ant is always looking on how can I enhance, how can I advance the colony. And so, like the ant, as a problem solver, you were designed to create solutions that would provide well-being not only for yourself, but more importantly, for others. You were created to be able to advance the cause of other people. That's why God created greatness and packaged greatness in you, so you will be able to now release that and assist the rest of the world. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18 to 20. Cited for you. You shall remember the Lord your God. Why? Because it's He who gives you the power to get wealth. Why? That He may confirm His covenant that He swore to your fathers as it is today. In other words, God says, remember me, I gave you the power to get wealth. And the reason why I did that, because I made a covenant with your fathers. Hallelujah. And I didn't give up on that covenant. That covenant still stands today. So in you, you have the ability to be able to get wealth. But it says, if you forget the Lord your God and go after other gods and serve them and worship them, I solemnly swear today that you shall surely perish. Like the nation of the Lord makes appearance before you, you shall perish, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. In other words, God is saying, and people say, well, I sold my soul to the devil because they're trying to gain, well, you just forgot your covenant. You didn't have to sell your soul to the devil for him to give you. God says, I already put it inside you. You have the power to actually create. The word get there actually means create. It's to make the fashion, it's to be industrious, to perform. So God gave you the power to actually create wealth. Glory to God. In you is the ability to be able to create wealth. Now, look at this, please. Wealth, by its translation in the text, is virtue, strength, goods, might, and power, riches, substance, worth, war, all these aspects. Biblically, when we look at wealth, the first thing that stands out is that wealth is tangible assets. It's the ownership of tangible assets. So we can look at Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and see what they own, and we would learn the idea of tangible assets. But wealth is beyond just the tangible. Wealth is also intangible assets. Think about the value of a stock. Stock is intangible assets because you believe in the goods or the services of whatever said company, and so you give your money to said company to utilize so it can advance its goods or services, but you are investing in the stock of that company because it's intangible asset. What you believe is you believe in the value of what they have. You believe in the value of what they offer. You believe in the value of what they're able to produce. And based off of the value, you invest in it. When the reality is, even with timeshares, you don't own, hallelujah, the property, you own time at the property. You own time there. So you're expressing value for something that's intangible. You're expressing value for the time there. It's awesome to consider. But wealth is not just relegated to the tangible and intangible. Wealth is also intellectual ability. It is the value of what one knows or the value of one's information. Think about it, brothers and sisters. The truth is, God knows everything. Absolutely everything. He is the omniscient God. And the omniscient God formed you from the dust of the ground, and then breathed into your nostrils the breath of life, and that man became a living soul. So he made you an expression of his own self. That same man then fell into sin. And because of sin, he bumped his head, got amnesia, forgot who he was, and forgot what God had taught him. And so he messed up his life. God then gave him the power of the Holy Spirit. And for you apostolic Pentecostals, you tell me that that God is one. I believe you so strongly. And so when you tell me that God is in fact one, what you're saying to me is that the Holy Spirit is God. I believe you 100%. And so then when you say that to me, then you're telling me then the Holy Spirit which resides on the inside of you, that you have God living in you. The same God that knows everything. Hallelujah. And then we're taught this about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will teach you all things. And we're taught that the Holy Spirit will lead you into all truth. And we're taught that, this is all Bible, y'all. The scripture tells us that the Holy Spirit will remind you of not some things, the Holy Spirit will remind you of everything. So it'll teach you everything. Whatever you want to know, the Holy Spirit will teach it to you. Yeah. The Holy Spirit will lead you into all truth. The Holy Spirit will remind you of everything that they just taught you. I love it. Jordan. And you have your living teacher who knows everything residing on the inside of you. You have creative or intellectual ability on the inside of you. What's this thing? That means if God knows everything, God knows the next great invention.
Yes.
So if God knows the next great invention, and I have God living on the inside of me, hey, glory, maybe I should say, no, Lord, since you know the next invention, can you help me to become the inventor of the next big thing?
Hallelujah.
Now think about it, please. Consider it. Yeah. Because the Holy Spirit already has heads up. Now, we're talking about prayer, glory, that there are times you don't know how to pray like you should. But the Holy Spirit runs in the mind of God and knows how to pray when we didn't have the words to say. And the Holy Spirit will pray for us the perfect will of God. So when you're just so confused and you're just mumbling words, the Holy Spirit interprets that and knows exactly what to do. Unfortunately, God help us, we take the Holy Spirit and we regulate the Holy Spirit to a feel-good moment. So we're doing stuff like, I'm sad today. Let me pray. Hey, and then we're like, oh, I feel better. Watch us. That's what we do. But when we have a problem, we're like, I don't know what to do. Let me call Big Mama. It's funny. You use the Holy Spirit to feel better, but the Spirit said that whatever you need to know, teach it to you. So, you're in the business office, or you're in the meeting, and they're holding you for 3 hours, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and what to do. You have the Holy Spirit inside you. Why not enter into your secret closet? Glory to God. Father, help me provide a solution so that when I open my mouth, I can give them exactly what needs to be said. So we can solve the issues that's on the table. Why? You are, in fact, a problem solver. Wealth lies inside you. So that when you now, they interview you on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever you adhere to. And they ask you, so, how'd you come up with this? You say, well, I was talking to God, and the Lord spoke to me, and the Lord revealed this to me. And I want to make sure, I want to give credit to him because he's the original thinker. I'm just duplicating his thoughts. Glory to God. And he says, in Scripture, we just read it. He gave you power to create the wealth. It's a covenant that he made with you. Not just that, wealth is also creative ability. Singers, dancers, actors, artists, creative ability, sports, athletes, etc. Wealth is also credit or borrowing ability. It's actually who you are. People will invest in you because of your credibility. That's wealth. So wealth is the fact that it's of your knowledge, your identity, it's your creativity. Wealth is your perceived value. Wealth is your trustworthiness. Brothers and sisters, the reality is each person should represent wealth and power and creativity and productivity and potential. But the question is, do you know who you are? And then after that, do you know what you have? Did you read this after me? You were created. To be a problem solver. Created to be a problem solver. Please go with me to Genesis 41, Genesis the 41st chapter. We're nearly there. Genesis 41. In the text, we're just going to jump through this. After 2 years, Pharaoh has a dream. And he says on the 9. Verse 2 shows he sees 7 plump and attractive cows feeding on the grass. Verse 3 then shows the 7 other cows are ugly and they're thin, and they're on the 9. Verse 4 then shows that the cow, which is normally an herbivore, becomes a carnivore, and the 7 ugly cows start eating up the 7 attractive cows. What a glorious sight that would be, you know. And so he's watching cows that don't eat grass start eating one another. And then he wakes up. He goes back to sleep. Verse 5 shows, and then now he sees 7 ears of corn and they're on one stalk. Then he sees another stalk show up, and there's 7 blighted and thin ears of corn. And corn does something that we've never seen before. Corn is actually eating something. So you've got thin corn eating up the plump and the good corn. So he wakes up, obviously he's startled by this, he's troubled, and he calls the magicians in and the wise men in, and he tells them his dream. Verse 8 says, but no one could interpret. So then the cupbearer, verse 9 says, he forgot what he was supposed to do. There was a young man, a Hebrew, verse 12 says, who had helped him out before. So verse 14 then shows Pharaoh sent and called Joseph. They brought him quickly out of the pit, shaved him, changed his clothes. Verse 15 then says that Pharaoh tells Joseph, I had a dream and no one could interpret it. Verse 16 then Joseph says, it's not me. I can't do it. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Verse 17 then says that Pharaoh begins to explain his dream unto Joseph. And he takes the time to talk about the dream, and then he tells him at the end of verse 24 that no one was able to explain it to me. Verse 25, Joseph tells Pharaoh the dreams are one. And God has revealed to Pharaoh what he's about to do. Then he starts explaining what the dream is all about. Look at verse number 33. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years. And let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the cities, and let them keep it. That food shall be a reserve for the land against the years of famine that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish during or through the famine. Verse 37 then says, that proposal pleased not just Pharaoh, it pleased all of Pharaoh's servants. Pharaoh turns to his servants and says, can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God? Pharaoh then turns to Joseph and says, since God has shown you all this, there is no one so discerning and as wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. And only in regards to the throne will I be greater than you. Well, what's the issue? This is one of my, by the way, this is one of my favorite pictures of ants. By the way, it looks extraordinary to see that. These are, see the gap there? And they're working together to solve a problem. Problem solving a problem. So the issue was that famine was coming. And here is the dream. That's the problem. He didn't know how to interpret the dream that he has in his head. He didn't know how to deal with that. So then now we need a man. Now we need someone to help us. And when we interpret what the dream is, we have a problem. Because we have abundance, 7 years of abundance, but there is 7 years of famine that's coming. And based off of the dream, the 7 years of famine are going to eat up the years of abundance. And if you saw it, if you read the text, what it showed is that the seven thin cows ate the 7 plump cows, and they still looked thin. It didn't change their demeanor. They still looked sickly. The 7 blighted thin ears of corn ate up the plump corn, but it didn't change the status of the corn. They still were blighted. They were still thin. So then the problem is, famine's coming, scarcity is about to be here, and we don't know what to do. Okay? Now, ask the person that's closest to you, what problem will you solve?
What problem will you solve?
What problem will you solve? Here's one of my other favorite pictures of ants. You know, in the previous picture, they were taking it along over. Now they have it set. And they're moving with what they need to get over. And see them all, one's passing one to the other, and they're working together. And they're working together. Joseph is a problem solver. Joseph is a visionary increaser. Joseph is a steward who increases your value. If you look at the text and you see what Joseph was doing, Joseph not only interpreted the dream of Pharaoh, Joseph showed him, now here is what's going on, here is what's in your head, here's what God has said to you, but let me give you the solution. And he didn't offer the solution for bank. He didn't say to him, I'll give you a plan out of this if you'll pay me. He simply says, here's what the problem is, here is your solution. Now, if you check it out, he didn't even offer himself to be the candidate. He says, find someone that's wise and appoint individuals to do this, and watch it, what he did. The solution was that when you get finished with this, the people will still survive, the land will be better, and you, Pharaoh, will come out richer. Yeah. You'll have more land and you'll have more wealth when this is all over with. So, he's looking at the surface and he's saying to himself, so we can't find anybody that's better than this. We can't find anyone that is more brilliant or more wise than he. What's amazing is, brothers and sisters, wise planning is the basic principle of the kingdom of God. You're not doing anything extraordinary when you are just planning the basics of life. You're actually doing what you were created to do. I'm making sure my week is good, but you're doing what you're supposed to do. When you're ordering your day, and you're ordering your week, and you're ordering your month, and you're ordering your year, and you're setting up your 5-year plan, and your 10-year plan, you were built to do that. Problem is, we aren't necessarily exposed to it. But we're told, you can learn a lot from the ant. Go to the ant. Find out from the ant. The ant's going to teach you a lot. When he made his proposal, Pharaoh said, I got this. Give him my signet ring. Make him some designer clothes. Put a gold chain on his neck. Give him one of my chariots so he can move quicker through the town. And think about this. If he's telling them about what was happening, he told him 7 years of abundance are coming. He didn't say that we're in it right now or it's already started. He said they're coming. So what does Joseph do? And that's abundance. Then 7 years of family coming. After that, Joseph was giving them a plan, a 14-year plan to be able to live. And not just live, but thrive. He was giving him a 14-year plan. But it's deeper than that. Remember when Jacob died, because eventually Israel ends up coming to Egypt? And when Jacob dies, the brothers are thinking to themselves, Genesis 50, he's going to kill us now because what we did to him. And Joseph says, what you did for me or against me was evil. But God meant it for good, to save much people alive. But what are we saying? Is that problem solvers are generational thinkers. what Joseph was doing, he wasn't just thinking about the here and now. He was thinking about how can we survive the days ahead, the years ahead, and if we can solve this, we'll be able now to help you generations to come. Joseph understood that my trouble was actually my teacher. And my trouble exposed me now to areas of life I would have never been able to be in. Think about it. Had he not been, his brothers not been jealous, he would have never been sold. If he was never sold, he would never depart from his house. If he was never in part of his house, he never went to jail. If he had never been to jail, he would never have been introduced to Pharaoh to be able to interpret his dream. And what we're looking at is all these tragedies, brothers and sisters, they were exposure for him. And you gotta start considering, rather than looking at your problems as like, woe is me, I can't believe this has happened to me. How about looking at, maybe my problem is my teacher. Maybe God has me here to learn a strategy. If you'll see it, while he was in the pit, he learned about exchange. He understood the exchanging of goods and services. While he went to Potiphar's house, serving the military commander, by the way, he's learning about strategies of the military. He's running the man's house. He was the steward over the house. And when he goes to jail, he's not just in the jail, he's in the king's jail. While he's in the king's jail, he's learning about these strategies about how government works. And everywhere he goes, he's gaining information that actually helps his whole life. So when he stands before Pharaoh to interpret his dream, he's using his life experience, glory to God, to provide him a solution. What are you going through right now that God will use later on to help somebody else? Or will you rather frustrate yourself and complain about, I can't believe this is the worst thing in my life, this is horrible. Or maybe God has you doing this because he wants to expose you to something else that you would have never known. And so maybe my trouble is my teacher. And maybe he used trouble as the vehicle to expose me to something else I would have never been privy to. So perhaps what you should do is thank God for your trouble.
Thank you.
And some of the fact, had I not been under pressure, I would have never known my ability. But thank God I was in a situation like this and I knew how to keep it together. Glory to God. Please do that to me. Problem solvers.
Problem solvers.
Generational thinkers.
Generational thinkers.
We're almost done, but see this. Look at this. See how the ant is using his own body as a bridge? Maybe you are a bridge, and that's why people keep walking over you. But you gotta understand this, bridges are strong, and they are a conveyance for objects from one place to the next, and they can stand up under the weight. Glory to God. Maybe the reason why you're so strong is because God was gonna use you to help somebody else get over, and you like, they keep walking over me, but maybe you're built. I don't want to hear that. Most people really don't. But I need to know the reason why you haven't cracked yet, you were built for it. The reason why that even though they kept walking over you, that you didn't fall apart yet and break on the low, maybe you were built. That's why you're still here. Yeah. That's why you're still strong. That's why you haven't lost it yet. That's why you still have it together. That's why they still see you as classy. Yeah, because you were. Help me out, please. This little person next to you, I was built for this.
I was built for this.
All right. So, thinking generationally, like the ant, he used strength. He used wisdom, just like the ant. Thinking about tomorrow, considering community, understanding discipline, looking at diligence. Like the ant, Joseph was charged and he fueled. He knew I've got to preserve the rest by charging the others to be able to give 20% for their survival. Brothers and sisters, what I need you to know from today's lesson, if you don't remember anything else, is remember the ant. But before you step on the ant, just look at the ant. before you squash them, before you go grab the spray, look at the ant. Here's my last picture. Hope it's not too bad. Y'all okay? We okay with this one? Is this too much?
It's the worst one.
That's the worst one? It's the worst one? All right, so this, I'll turn it real quickly. For those of you who are looking at it, you see how the ants are using their own body? From one leaf to the next, they're sacrificing their own self. They're not dying through this, please see that. They're not dying through this. They're just helping somebody else get over. Oh, Jesus. What are you saying? I'm saying this. You won't die through it. You're just going to help somebody else get over. Right? We're good. So, all right? Remember the ant. Okay? Remember the ant. Let's pray. Father, thank you today.
Thank you, Lord.
You're an amazing God. This ant, Lord, for many of us, we would never thought that the ant had so much to teach us. But today, we have to say that this ant has been a blessing to our lives. This ant has shown us not just discipline and diligence and futuring and community, but the ant has shown us about strength. It's shown us about its foresight. And when we compare ourselves with the ant, Lord, many of us were saying, we came up short. We weren't as focused as we should. The ant, in its strength, in its foresight, the ant is a problem solver. Lord, the ant, we've seen it, the ant is solution driven. The ant is looking for problems to solve. And so, Father, I thank you today. We won't complain about life. I believe, God, that the reason why the problems exist around us is because you intend for us to solve. I get it, Lord. I get it. So the more problems that we have in our lives is because there are more solutions in us that you want us to bring out. Oh, God. I see it, God. I see it. You never meant for us to crumble because of the problem. You meant for us to solve the problem. And there are many complex issues that we have. But I get it, God. The greater the problem, the greater the solution, which means there's greater wealth that's inside of us because we have great potential. I love it, Lord. And so, Father, we won't complain about our plight. We won't complain about our trouble. You use that to teach us, to bring us to the place, Lord, where we bring about the solutions. And I give you praise. Father, I thank you because you know everything. And so, God, since you know we are your students, teach us, God. Show us, God. Help us, God. Lord, there's inventors who are hungry, God, to be able to develop an invention to help somebody else. You have given us power to create wealth. And so, Father, I pray in the name of the Lord Jesus that we will not only know that, but will access it and begin to perform it, to bring our families out of poverty. Poverty is trying to rob us like an armed robber. It's trying to take away what you've placed inside of us. Poverty and procrastination is holding us up, trying to take away our potential. But in the name of the Lord Jesus, we will not allow poverty or procrastination or laziness to rob the value and the wealth and the greatness that you stored inside of us. We will, God, bring it out. We are solution driven. We are the problem solvers. We give you praise and we thank you forevermore. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Let's prepare to do the Lord's tithe and present with our offering. If you get what the Lord's tithe and do the offering, just need to raise your hand. The usher would like to come to you and assist you with that. While we are preparing for the offering of the Lord's tithe, we want to give you the upcoming announcements. Tomorrow is Minister Alliance on site and online. And so we encourage you, please be here at 7 p.m. on tomorrow for the Minister Alliance class. Or also on this coming Sunday, we have our Kingdom Living classes. This Sunday we start at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Kingdom Living classes start this Sunday. October the 16th is our next senior luncheon, which takes place here at the church, 12 noon. October the 20th is Breast Cancer Awareness. We're asking you that wear your pink or some form of pink on that Sunday as we raise awareness of cancer and its prevention. We're also asking you to bring a donation, as every year our church gives towards breast cancer awareness and its prevention as well. October the 30th, the youth are sponsoring Trunk or Treat October the 30th, we start sponsoring Trunk or Treat. Starts at 5 p.m. and goes to 7 p.m. They're asking for candy, donations of candy, and there are also individuals who will utilize their car as a means to their trunk for kids in the community can come by and receive candy. And it gives us a chance also to evangelize and also share about the church as well. So that's on October the 30th. We need candy and also volunteers to help utilize their trunk to be a blessing to others. On November the 3rd is we return to standard time, so don't forget on that day you're going to set your clocks back. We return to standard time. November the 5th is election day. Whatever town or community that you live in or city, many are having their mayoral and city council elections, so please make sure you participate in that. Your voice needs to be heard. On November the 6th is our next corporate fast day, after midnight to 4 p.m. November the 11th is Veterans Day. We want to honor all of our veterans for their sacrifice and also their bravery. And then on November the 21st to 23rd is the D.C. Delaware Maryland Council, which convenes at Highway Way of Faith in Wilmington, Delaware. So they're doing the announcements, they're going to coordinate. Then let's pray more for the other God to really strengthen grace to us all. As we're standing, we'll stand with our offering in hand, and the word time to send it out. Those who are going to give by Cash App online, the Cash Tag, thank you Pam for putting that up. That's the $ZT Cares for Cash App, so you can join us today by giving. Thank you guys so much. Let's, as we raise the Lord's tithe and our offering in the air, Father, we think of the opportunity to give, to bring to you your tithe, and we present you our offering. Our request is this. Increase our borders, Lord, strengthen us that we might do your work. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you, call and say, Son, upon you, Lord, be gracious unto you, with his countenance, and give you peace. In Jesus' name, amen.